Welcome to our employment law presentation presented by our solicitor, Patrick. Today, we will be providing a bit of information on rights at work, pay rates, employment conditions, sham contracting, superannuation, unpaid trials, pay slips, deductions from pay, unfair dismissal, bullying at work, and where to get help.
Hi, my name is Patrick. I'm a lawyer with the Mid-North Coast Community Legal Centre. We're a free legal service that provides legal advice and casework to vulnerable people across the Mid-North Coast. You have rights when you're at work. You're entitled to a minimum wage. This is normally determined by an award or a bargaining agreement. You're entitled to leave. You're entitled to superannuation. You're entitled to general protections. What that means is that somebody can't treat you less favourably because of an improper purpose or because you've done something you have a right to do. You also should have a workplace free of bullying and safe from discrimination. You should also have a general safe workplace where you can work comfortably and safely. The current minimum hourly rate of pay is $19.84. However, if you're under 21, junior rates of pay might apply. For example, if you're 17 years old and you've just started out in a retail job, your minimum hourly pay will be $16.34. You may get paid a little bit more on Sundays and public holidays. If you want to work out your rate of pay and you're on an award, the Fair Work Ombudsman has a great pay and conditions tool on their website. You can be employed in a number of different ways. You might be employed as a full-time employee, working 38 hours a week. You might be part-time, working say 20 hours a week on a regular basis. Or you can be employed as a casual, which means that your shifts may change from time to time. Your rights and obligations will change depending on how you're employed. So, for example, you work at a restaurant doing the same hours, the same days every week, and you do that for 2 years. You're paid as a casual, which is a slightly higher rate than a part-time or full-time employee. You have a family emergency and you want to take 2 weeks leave. Your boss tells you that you can only take unpaid leave as you're a casual employee. You might want to get some legal advice and negotiate with your boss and trying to get changed to a part-time employee. You'll get a slightly lower pay rate, but you'll get paid leave every year. You have certain entitlements at work. These are usually determined by your award or your bargaining agreement. You're entitled to regular meal breaks. You shouldn't be required to work lengthy shifts, usually over 10 hours. You should get paid regularly. This will usually be fortnightly or weekly, but must be at least monthly. And you should get pay slips so you know what you're getting paid and how that amount is calculated. You may have heard about something called sham contracting. That's where you're engaged as a contractor rather than as an employee. Contractors and employees have different rights and obligations. If you're employed or engaged as a contractor rather than as an employee, you may be getting paid less than you're entitled to, and you may not have the same protections as an employee. If you're not sure whether you should be paid or engaged as a contractor or employee, you should get some legal advice. Superannuation is payable to employees who earn over $450 a month and are over 18 or are under 18 and working over 30 hours a week. Superannuation is additional 9.5% of your income. You must be paid every 3 months, and the Australian Tax Office enforces superannuation contributions from your employer. So here's another example of some issues around entitlements at work. So say you've been working at a pizza shop for a year. Your boss asks you to become a supervisor of the kitchen rather than a kitchen hand. You have increased responsibilities, but you aren't paid any more for this. You may get some legal advice and find out that as your responsibilities have changed and gone up, you're entitled to a higher rate of pay under the award, and you can seek to be back paid the amount you were underpaid and paid the correct rate in the future. You may be asked to work an unpaid trial to make sure that you have the necessary skills to do a particular job. If you are required to do an unpaid trial, you must be supervised. The trial should be relatively short and it should allow for a test of your skills. Unpaid trials should not be required when you're doing unskilled work because there's no skill to test. When you're paid, you should be given a payslip. A payslip should set out how much you're getting paid per hour, plus any penalty rates that apply. It'll also set out how much tax and superannuation you're getting paid. It's very important to get payslips to make sure you're getting paid what you're entitled to. Your employer or boss might be able to make deductions from your pay in very limited circumstances. Usually you'll need to agree to this in writing. You should check any deductions from your pay and make sure your boss is allowed to do that. Generally, there are no deductions allowable where, say, there's been a shortfall in the till or you've broken something while just doing your business and just made a mistake. If you're overpaid by your employer, they can recover that money, but it must be done at a reasonable rate. Employees are protected from unfair dismissal. That's where the dismissal might be harsh, unjust, or unreasonable. Employers need to follow a fair process and have a reasonable basis for dismissing you. You need to work a minimum employment period before you're protected from unfair dismissal. If it's a small business employer, that period will be 12 months. For other employers, it'll be 6 months. You cannot be dismissed for unlawful reasons. It's really important to seek advice if you think you may have been unfairly dismissed, because the time limit for making an application is 21 days. An example might be where you've worked in a fish and chip shop for around 14 months. Your boss dismisses you but doesn't give you any reason why. You haven't been told in the past that there are any issues with your employment. You later find out that you were dismissed because your boss's nephew had come back into town and wanted your job. You may want to get advice about making an unfair dismissal application. You may be entitled to an order that you be reinstated in your position or that you receive compensation for your unfair dismissal. You shouldn't be bullied at work. If you're having an issue with bullying at work and you can't resolve it, then you can make an application to the Fair Work Commission for a stop bullying order. You shouldn't also be treated unfairly because of your race, appearance, religion, or a disability. You have additional legal rights if you are treated less favourably in discrimination law. Bullying may be verbal, physical, or both. Bullying is often humiliating and can be in front of others. It can include threats, insults, constant criticism, and exclusion from activities. It may also include gossip, rumours, or behaviours that cause you fear. If you have an issue at work, you can call us on 65 80 2 111. There are other options that may assist you. This includes unions and colleagues who may be experienced with your workplace rights. The Fair Work Ombudsman website has great resources and tools to work out what your entitlements at work are. The Fair Work Commission website has really good information on unfair dismissal and bullying. If you need help with employment law issues or any other legal issues, feel free to get in contact with us. And good luck with your job hunt.